Okay, we're now 1 week into 2023, which means all of the holiday rush and madness has come to an end, and we're now looking forward to a whole new year of games and different things to look forward to. But today I wanted to talk about the games that are coming up in January, so in the next 3 to 4 weeks that we can look forward to here. And I've been doing this series for the past couple of months. Let me know if you think this is a good thing to just continue onward. Like every month we just look at the different games coming up that month, because I know not everyone has a chance to sit down and keep an eye on every single release. Maybe this will also turn you on to a couple of different releases that you had not seen previously. So let me know down in the comments. And if you guys enjoyed the video today, make sure you like it and subscribe if you're new. So we're going to kick things off with a game coming out next week that initially I didn't know if I would really be interested in, but the more I've thought about it, the more I think I am going to pick this up. And I'll also be playing the demo a couple of days early, and that's for One Piece Odyssey. This is seemingly a pretty big RPG that's being developed with a lot of quality in mind. And I say that because while I'm not a One Piece fan at all, I understand it's a very popular series, the anime, the manga, been around forever. I looked on Crunchyroll and it has over 1,000 episodes or something, so it would take a while to catch up. But I went back and looked at some of the previous One Piece games. They weren't highly rated. They didn't look like they had a sizable budget even behind it. This one looks a bit different, however. I like them also going the direction of an RPG like this. And like I said, there will be a demo that will release on the 10th. They just did an overview trailer of this and confirmed that the save data will carry over from the demo to the full game. And for me, it seems like this might be a good entry point into the series. It sounds kind of weird, I guess, since there is so much lore and content I can just go out and look for now. But the idea of the game itself apparently starting from scratch, or at least the idea that you don't necessarily know everything about One Piece or even seen it previously, is enticing. And of course, it's a game, an RPG, something I feel like I would enjoy. So I'm going to grab this day one, and like I said, I'll get started with the demo when it releases on the 10th. But yeah, that's coming up next week. And then the following week, a couple of classics do release. I would say really one classic though. Persona 4 Golden and Persona 3 Portable. That's out January 19th. That's coming to PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series, PS5 through backwards compatibility, all of that, and the Switch. This is a big deal, obviously, because Persona in general has been tied to the PlayStation ecosystem, line of systems, Sony basically, for a long time. And after Persona 5 made the jump to other platforms, it seems like the floodgates have been opened and we're seeing other Persona games drop on different platforms. Persona 4 Golden is the classic that I'm talking about here. Stuck on the Vita for so long. Finally went to Steam. Sega was confused and shocked that people bought it. It exceeded expectations, and, well, we can see that in their actions now, where they're just going to start seeing who else wants to buy the game. And I highly recommend Persona 4 Golden. I understand not as many people got to play it because it was trapped on the Vita for so long, and not everyone plays on PC. And fortunately, it's going everywhere. It's also going to be on Game Pass. So even if you're still unsure, I think Persona 4 Golden is a good one to jump into for the overall Persona series. Persona 3 Portable is a little different. This is the PSP port or just version that they did. I still recommend Persona 3 on the PlayStation 2. That was a really cool release, by the way. It was a physical copy, and it came with an art book and a box, and that was before Persona became popular. That really happened with Persona 5, now that I think about it. So there's a lot of stuff you can go back and look towards, but I guess the ones on the original PlayStation don't really exist to a lot of people. But Persona 3, I feel like, is a good one to check out. Unfortunately, Persona 3 Portable, they made some cutbacks, visually speaking, yes, but also with some of the cutscenes, from what I remember, instead of them being like full animated scenes, they went to just like slides almost, and it kind of loses something there. But there is a rumor going around that continues to be backed and somewhat substantiated by different sources that Atlus is going towards a Persona 3 remake that would put it closer in line with something like Persona 5 when it comes to visuals and quality of life, and kind of just bring it up to the current time. So if we have to get Persona 3 Portable now and then years later get Persona 3 Remake, That's fine. You might think it's weird, but also it's Atlas. And then the following day, January 20th, Fire Emblem Engage releases on the Switch. And this is a game that when they first showed it did catch my eye, but to be honest, I played Fire Emblem Three Houses, and I don't know if I'm getting burned out on the school setting or the classroom setting for some of these RPGs, but I was going through it and I was getting this fatigue to it. It wasn't grabbing me necessarily like some of the other Fire Emblems had. This one, though, looks like a game that I'm going to enjoy. Instead of in the classroom, it's more of like the fantasy military kind of vibe to it. The art style maybe it's the character style, seems to be throwing some people off a bit, and not as many are like as into it maybe as I am here. But I do like the idea of summoning previous heroes. And while I don't know all of them, because I'm not the biggest Fire Emblem fan out there, I do enjoy a good strategy RPG. And I know Fire Emblem is a very good strategy RPG, has a long lineage of that. But seeing Marth, Roy, Byleth even make their way into this and giving your main character different abilities and enhancements, seems like there's a lot of strategy there. And yes, the whole relationship thing that goes on between characters and things outside of the battlefield looks like they spent some time on that. And visually speaking, it definitely looks a lot better than Three Houses, which basically forgot that anti-aliasing existed at all. And I know I've been beating down Three Houses during this Engage segment, but Three Houses, good game. Like I said, I think just the amount of JRPGs that leaned into the classroom setting that I had played before this, even something like Persona 5, where there's over 100 hours, and it's certainly based around like a school. Maybe it's just a little played out for me there, but definitely looking forward to Engage Three Houses. Still a good game, just something that didn't really grab me as much. Then 4 days later, we have Forspoken. This is on January 24th for the PlayStation 5 and PC. I've been trying with this game because it's Square Enix, but it's like their Luminous Productions division. They're using that Luminous engine that has just had a rough go of it this entire way. I mean, Final Fantasy 15, probably, for me anyway, one of the worst Final Fantasies I had played. It wasn't great for me. And looking at Forspoken, it doesn't look like a good outing for the Luminous engine again. Like, visually speaking, this is a weird game because at times it looks incredible, and then other times it looks just bad. I'm not really sure what's going on here. I think the effects from the spells look really good, like the particle effects, the animations there, but then like the character model looks a bit weird. Some of the landscapes, everything in motion just looks blurry at times. It's very strange. The dialogue isn't good. And when they threw us into the demo, it definitely took some getting used to, but even then, it seemed very clunky. I believe this is a game, though, that would have done a lot better if you just got the abilities as you went along, learned to use each one and hone some skills there separately, and then brought it together, rather than just give you all the abilities and hope that you can sort of figure it out. Most people, I'm sure, just said, this doesn't make any sense. I'm just going to move on from this demo. Also, I do want to point out that Square Enix and the developers did mention that the quests that were in the demo that were very fetch questy, not necessarily reflective of what will be in the game itself. Once again, it seems like they just sliced out almost a little sandbox for us to run around with all the different spells. So I'm crossing my fingers that maybe we're just missing something here with this game and it ends up being good, but I'm not necessarily expecting a lot on January 24th. The next two I flipped around in release order because I wanted to save the game that I'm most excited for last, but I also didn't want to skip this one, and that's SpongeBob SquarePants The Cosmic Shake. This game reminds me of a 3D platformer from the PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox days. That's not supposed to be an insult. That's a good thing, because back then we had a lot of these SpongeBob games coming out, and looking back on them now, yes, they were very rudimentary, very basic 3D platformers, but there was a certain charm to them. And when we had that remake, Rehydrated, it seemed to do pretty well, and to the point where Embracer said, well, all right, let's do another one. This time, it's just completely original. It's coming out last day of the month, January 31st. It's on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, PC, and Switch. And as I'm looking at this, while I'm not in the SpongeBob at all, I understand there is a group of gamers who grew up maybe who are a bit younger than me, who went through that PS2 and that GameCube, Xbox era and played a lot of these 3D SpongeBob games. They're probably, I mean, through the roof over this. So I'm happy for a lot of people who are looking forward to this one, and it's giving them some nostalgic feels. And the fact that you do have a brand new one to look forward to in 2023, end of the month, make sure you check that one out. But the game I'm most excited for, Dead Space Remake, January 27th, PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. This is a game that's going to be a remake, obviously, of Dead Space. I haven't played Dead Space in a while, like actually played through it. Last month, so in December, I downloaded Dead Space from the 360 and fired it up backwards compatible on the Xbox Series X, and it's one of those situations where you picture how it looks in your mind, and then you actually turn it on and you go, wow, this is not what I was expecting it to look like. The game itself just hasn't aged the best visually. I think the gameplay elements, the atmosphere, it's still there, but there's so much potential with this remake, just looking at the comparison shots, but also seeing them pull things from some of the other Dead Space games as more quality of life and gameplay improvements. This is seemingly shaping up to be that original Dead Space that was an incredible moment in terms of horror in gaming and taking it to the next level. So I'm actually kind of happy I haven't played through that original Dead Space in a while, because it's going to feel like I'm playing back through it for the first time all over again. And they've been sharing a lot of information online, which does give me a lot of confidence around this. When I say they're sharing information, it's like behind the scenes stuff that I would never expect a large publisher like EA to allow. They're showing stuff when it's clearly even before alpha. They have like placeholder textures and just boxes in certain spots instead of enemies, and they're showing off the different audio effects. And I'm very happy that we're getting a Dead Space remake, and I'm really happy that it's coming out in 3 weeks now, because not too much longer. I'm picking this one up day one, and it's probably going to be one of those games that I essentially try to marathon through, and maybe a day or two and I'll be all done, but it'll be an awesome couple of days. And you know what? Looking at this, not a bad first month for the year. I don't typically look at January as a month where there's going to be a ton of stuff coming out, but seeing like One Piece Odyssey and then going into Fire Emblem Engage, the curiosity, I guess, around Forspoken, and if it turns out to be even halfway decent, and then going into Dead Space Remake, it does seem like from here on for the rest of the month, there will be something coming out each week for me to look forward to. And if you've never played any of the Persona games, hey, going into Game Pass, check out Persona 4 Golden. But let me know what games you're looking forward to the most for the month of January. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.